Welcome to our video where we explore the fascinating history and value of Jefferson nickels. Today, we're counting down the top 6 most valuable and iconic 5-cent Jefferson nickels that have captivated collectors worldwide. These coins stand out for their rarity, historical significance, and unique features. Let's dive in. First up, the 1947 Jefferson nickel, like most nickels of the era, is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs about 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. The edge is smooth, with no ridges or lettering, keeping in line with the simple, classic design of the coin. Interestingly, during World War II, the United States Mint produced a special war nickel that contained silver, but by 1947, the mint returned to the standard copper-nickel composition. So, if you're hoping to find a silver version of the 1947 Jefferson nickel, you won't find one. This is strictly a nickel coin. Now let's talk about the mintage of the 1947 Jefferson nickel. The total number of 1947 nickels produced across all mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, was over 200 million. This makes the coin relatively easy to find even today. If you're looking at the coin, you can identify the mint where it was produced by looking for a small mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Denver-produced coins feature a D, and San Francisco coins are marked with an S. The 1947 nickel was produced in all 3 locations, so keep an eye out for those mint marks if you're a collector. In terms of value, the 1947 Jefferson nickel is generally worth between 20 to 50 cents if it's in average circulated condition. However, if you happen to find one in higher grade condition, such as MS65, it could be worth a few dollars. Higher quality coins are less common, especially given how many were minted, but they can still be found, and they're a great addition to any collection. The most valuable versions of the 1947 nickel tend to be those with the S mint mark, especially if they're in higher grades, as they were produced in smaller quantities than those from Philadelphia or Denver. The 1947 Jefferson nickel is also historically significant because it came just after the end of World War II. During the war, the US Mint had to adjust coin production due to a shortage of materials. For a few years, the mint produced a special type of nickel, known as the war nickel, that contained silver to conserve nickel for the war effort. With the war over by 1947, the mint returned to producing regular copper-nickel coins, including the Jefferson nickel. This shift marks the 1947 nickel as a part of the transition back to normal coin production after the war. If you're interested in collecting 1947 Jefferson nickels, the best place to start is by checking your pocket change. Coins from this era often turn up in circulation, although most will be in lower grades. Still, don't let that discourage you. It's the hunt that makes coin collecting so fun. If you're hoping to find a rare version, the key is to focus on the condition and the mint marks. The higher the grade and the rarer the mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. Next up, the 1942 Jefferson nickel is part of a special group of coins produced during World War II. Typically, Jefferson nickels were composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. However, because of wartime shortages of nickel, the US Mint produced a special version of the nickel in 1942, containing 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. These war nickels were created to conserve nickel, which was needed for the war effort. But what makes the 1942 ESS stand out even more is that it's part of the series of war nickels that were minted in San Francisco. Coins minted in San Francisco during 1942 carry the S mint mark, and these coins are especially significant because they are part of a larger effort to create enough coins for circulation during a time of national crisis. You won't find any silver in the regular 1942 Jefferson nickels, but in the war nickels, the silver content makes these coins more valuable and distinct from the regular copper-nickel versions. The 1942 DS Jefferson nickel weighs 5 grams, just like its copper-nickel counterparts, but the silver content gives it a unique look and feel. The coin's diameter is still 21.2 millimeters, and its edge is smooth. If you look closely, you'll notice that the silver war nickels have a slightly different color and tone compared to regular nickels. They're often a bit lighter in appearance, thanks to the silver content. Now, let's talk about the mintage and value of the 1942 Dus Jefferson nickel. The total mintage of the 1942 Dus War nickel was just under 22 million, which makes it a relatively scarce coin compared to some other 1940s nickels. The scarcity, combined with the silver content, increases its value over time. In average circulated condition, the 1942 Jefferson nickel can be worth around $2 to $5, depending on the overall wear and tear. However, Coins in better grades, especially those in uncirculated condition or with higher levels of detail, can be worth much more. For example, a 1942 S war nickel in MS65 condition could be valued at $20 or more. The 1942 St. Jefferson nickel is also particularly interesting from a historical perspective. The production of war nickels during World War II was an important decision, reflecting the nation's commitment to supporting the war effort. As mentioned earlier, the mint replaced some of the nickel in the coins with silver to conserve the valuable metal, which was in short supply during the war. It wasn't until 1946, after the war had ended, that the mint returned to the regular copper-nickel composition for the Jefferson nickel. If you're a collector, the 1942 Jefferson nickel is an important piece to seek out. Given its relatively low mintage, silver content, and historical context, it's one of those coins that stands out in any collection. If you happen to find one in your pocket change, consider yourself lucky, especially if it's in good condition. Next up, let's take a look at the design of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel. As with all Jefferson nickels, the obverse features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. This design has been in use since 1938, making Jefferson one of the longest-serving figures on U.S. coinage. Jefferson's profile is surrounded by the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year of minting, which in this case is 1987. The reverse of the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, which has been a constant feature on the nickel since its introduction. The Monticello design is a tribute to Jefferson's legacy and his role in shaping American history. The 1987 D. Jefferson nickel was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark located on the reverse side of the coin. Unlike some older Jefferson nickels, the 1987 D does not have any significant changes to its composition. The coin is made of the standard copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a familiar weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Its edge is smooth, without any ridges or lettering. Now, let's talk about the mintage of the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel. In 1987, over 730 million Jefferson nickels were produced across all U.S. mints, with the Denver Mint accounting for the vast majority of those coins. The total mintage of the 1987 D was around 600 million, making it one of the most common nickels in circulation from that year. Because of its high mintage, the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel isn't particularly rare, but it is still an important coin for collectors who focus on more recent issues. In terms of value, the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel isn't worth much more than its face value in typical circulated condition. Most 1987 D nickels are worth just 5 cents, especially if they show signs of wear from being in circulation for many years. However, if you find a 1987 D Jefferson nickel in excellent condition, especially in grades like MS65 or higher, it can be worth a little more, possibly $1 to $2. Coins with higher grades, such as MS67 or MS68, can reach even higher values, though they are much harder to find in these pristine conditions. While the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel may not be as historically significant as some of the older coins in the series, it's still a valuable coin for collectors who focus on specific years and mint marks. It's a great example of a standard U.S. coin from the late 20th century, and it plays an important role in the ongoing legacy of the Jefferson nickel series. Next up, the 1940 Jefferson nickel is a fascinating piece of American history. Designed by Felix Schlag and introduced in 1938, this coin replaced the Buffalo nickel. The obverse features a profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while the reverse displays his iconic home, Monticello. By 1940, this design was already a staple in American coinage. Despite being minted during the early years of World War II, this coin wasn't made with the wartime silver alloy used in later nickels. Instead, it's composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The 1940 Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Here's the breakdown of production numbers. Philadelphia produced over 176 million coins with no mint mark. Denver minted about 43 million coins marked with a D, and San Francisco struck roughly 39 million coins marked with an S. Coins from Denver and San Francisco are generally more sought after than those from Philadelphia. The value of a 1940 Jefferson nickel depends on its condition and rarity. In circulated condition, these coins are worth around 10 cents to 50 cents. Uncirculated coins graded MS60 to MS63 can fetch $3 to $6, while high-grade examples in MS65 or above, especially those with full steps on Monticello, can command $15 or more. The full steps designation, indicating the visibility of all 6 steps on Monticello, significantly boosts a coin's value. This feature is harder to find, especially in coins from the 1940s. If you're looking to add a 1940 Jefferson nickel to your collection, here are some tips. First, inspect the Monticello steps under magnification to check for the full steps feature. Second, look for minting errors or varieties, such as doubled dies or repunched mint marks, which can increase the coin's value. Next up, the 1951 Jefferson nickel is another notable coin in American numismatic history. Designed by Felix Schlag and introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel features a profile of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, on the obverse, and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1951, the design had become well established in circulation, continuing to represent an important period in U.S. coinage. The 1951 Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Here is the breakdown of production numbers. Philadelphia produced approximately 28.6 million coins with no mint mark. Denver minted about 20.4 million coins marked with a D, and San Francisco struck roughly 7.8 million coins marked with an S. Oustick with lower mintages compared to earlier years, the 1951 Jefferson nickel, particularly those from San Francisco, is considered more desirable among collectors. The value of a 1951 Jefferson nickel varies based on its condition and rarity. Coins in circulated condition are typically worth around 10 cents to 50 cents. Uncirculated examples, graded MS60 to MS63, can range from $3 to $8. High-grade specimens, particularly those in MS65 or higher with the full steps designation, can command $20 or more. The full steps feature refers to the complete and visible details of all 6 steps on Monticello, a characteristic that greatly enhances a coin's value. Collectors should also keep an eye out for potential errors or varieties in the 1951 Jefferson nickel. These include doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or other striking anomalies that can make the coin significantly more valuable. Proper storage is crucial for maintaining a coin's condition. Use coin holders or albums and store them in a cool, dry environment to prevent tarnishing or damage. Next up, the 1978 Jefferson nickel holds its place as a representative of late 20th century U.S. coinage. Designed by Felix Schlag and first introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel features a profile of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, on the obverse, and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1978, this design had been in circulation for 4 decades, reflecting the stability and continuity of American currency. The 1978 Jefferson nickel was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia produced approximately 365.4 million coins with no mint mark, while Denver minted about 333.6 million coins marked with a D. These high mintages make the 1978 Jefferson nickel a common coin, widely available to collectors and enthusiasts alike. The value of a 1978 Jefferson nickel in no fine or heavily circulated condition is minimal, typically worth its face value of 5 cents. However, uncirculated examples graded MS60 to MS63 may fetch around 25 cents to $1. Coins in higher grades, such as MS65 or above, can command $5 to $10. The presence of the full steps designation, indicating the complete visibility of all 6 steps on Monticello, can significantly increase the value, often reaching $20 or more for high-grade specimens. While errors or varieties are less common in the 1978 Jefferson nickel compared to earlier years, collectors should still be on the lookout for anomalies such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or other minting errors. These can add unique value to what might otherwise be considered an ordinary coin.